Welcome back once again to the Pitlane Pals Formula One podcast. In this episode, we're going to be recapping. I'm a little rusty. It's been a couple weeks. Recapping the Belgian Grand Prix this weekend at Spa, and what a race it could have been. What a race it could have been. Before we get into where everybody finished, and you know, our thoughts on the outcome, the big topic for the first hour or so, in fact, I had a late night out and I woke up at 10. The race here started at 9 here on the east coast of America. And I woke up an hour late and I was like, oh shit, I missed the race start. No, I didn't, because the race was actually postponed for about an hour and a half prior to the start.
Classic
because
Spa.
Of rain.
Classic Spa.
And this isn't the first time we've seen this happen at Spa or in general, but specifically also at Spa. And it begs the question. They did the outlaps with everybody on intermediates. And I still will never really understand why we just refuse to use the wet weather tire.
Well,
it'll just never make sense to me.
Okay. Because I have seen some reports on this. Actually, why they don't use it is because it's literally just not drivable. Like, I've seen a lot of drivers actually complain about the wet weather tires. I presume it was Martin Brundle talk about this, and probably Nico Rosberg. These tires are not raceable, so they hate to use them. Like, full wet is just not an option.
The question is, why doesn't Pirelli put more effort into designing a good wet weather tire where we can go racing in the rain? Because what could have been a stellar rain race, right? The drama could have been there, 100%. What could have been a stellar raining race with drama and on one of the best circuits on the F1 calendar historically, turned into a snooze fest because they postponed the race, and because of the rain they didn't have to pit. So then we really just got a dry race with one pit stop onto dry tires, and then there was no drama after that. And some of that is an issue with like the way Spa has adapted to the new cars, and there has been an issue with dry races at Spa.
True.
But what could have been a stellar championship battle fight at the front in the wet weather turned into just something that was kind of boring. And I think had we had capable wet weather tires that are actually usable and that we actually allow them to use, this is supposed to be the pinnacle of motorsport, and we're scared of rain to such a degree where we just won't do it. And I understand that drivers' health matters, their lives matter.
Right.
But this is also the most competitive series in the world. We should be able to find something where it's safe and entertaining at the same time. And it could have been such a good race, and it just ended up being a snooze fest. But we'll get into the actual race in a minute. But yeah, that's just like, it's disappointing to see. I know you actually have your own horror story with Spa.
Yeah. I was about to say, I am one for wet races, no question. And I haven't actually talked about this on the podcast before. We will talk about it, I presume, when you are here. But I was there. Yeah, little spoiler. Oof. I was there in 21 when the Spa race, not so much a race, happened. I was at the racetrack. And I'll get into the details some other time, but I remember quite frankly how little of a race we had and how it was pouring down all day. And I love wet weather races, and I love like when it's a ton of rain and it's really hard for the drivers to keep it on the track, because that's when the best drivers shine. And coming back to the question of why they don't make like full wet tires raceable, at the time where full weather tires are used, the amount of water on the track and the amount of water pouring down onto the track makes it, quite frankly, impossible for these cars to race side by side, because from the car in first place, there will be an absolute water wall behind that car, and there's going to be 0% visibility. And these drivers are the best drivers in the world, no question. But you also have to consider that is a point where you can't let them race. They can't see a thing. The moment someone spins, or the moment someone's spinned out in front of them on the straight, they're gonna crash into that car with 300 kph. Like, I think it's just too far away where you can make it raceable. Now, I will admit, I believe they waited too long in Spa. They waited too long to get that race started, because at some point I was thinking, okay, are we trying to get this track dry? Is that what we're trying to achieve here? Because it kind of seems like it. Because the rain was...
At some point it wasn't even that wet.
Exactly. At some point there was like a time span where it was inters and it would have been fine, and it wasn't actively that wet, but it seemed like they just tried to get that car to that track to a like dry condition where they can use slicks, and that was just really, really frustrating, especially for the teams who set their car up for a wet race. Like Red Bull, for example, Verstappen, when he came back into the pits, he said himself, like, yeah, difficult race, car was difficult to control, and the mechanic said, his engineer said, yeah, if we would have known it would have been a dry race, we would have set the car up differently. Especially when it comes to downforce, having rain on the track and having a lot of rain on the track makes a big difference when it comes to car setup. So
absolutely,
it's difficult.
It's difficult because you can plan for the weather. What you can't plan for is the FIA making decisions. The FIA's management of the sport is arguably more unpredictable than the weather.
True.
I think if there was somebody whose job was to place bets on what the FIA is going to do regarding an incident or whatever, they would be less successful and less accurate than the weatherman. So that it is hard, and it's unfortunate to see, because that's not the stuff I want to affect a race weekend. I don't want...
Yeah.
I think Spa is one of the most interesting tracks for race setups as well, because there is two sectors that are pretty much just straight lines, the first and the third. And there's the middle sector, which is twisty, windy, medium, low, high-speed corners throughout. And it's one of the best sectors of racing.
Yeah.
By the way. But you see how, McLaren goes out there and plans for the middle sector, and then other cars go out there and plan for their straight line speed like it looked like Haas did.
Yeah.
Or, and that's what's so interesting. And so it sucks when that kind of aspect gets taken away because of the rain. And if somebody wants to commit to the rain, that's fine. But then when the FIA says, oh, we're just not going to do it anyways, at this point, why would I ever set up my car for wet weather if we're not going to do it? Like,
Fair.
that is the thing. In a lot of other racing series, most of the racing series, they push through the rain. And I know that Spa is also a particularly dangerous circuit. I get that. But I do... Sometimes it's like, if you're going to be the best motorsport in the world with the 20 best drivers in the world, soon to be 22 best drivers in the world, I want to see some more. I want to push the limits a bit more, and I want to see us driving through rain. And they waited far too long.
Yeah,
a race that could have been a good portion of it could have been wet weather, even after the original suspension turned into basically 2 laps of wet weather, and then the rest being dries and just a snooze fest throughout. But at the end of the day, Oscar Piastri did win both the Belgian Grand Prix sprint and the Belgian Grand Prix race main features. So this is Oscar's circuit. He outdid Lando here last year as well. I think this is just a circuit that Oscar does love.
True.
Him not getting pole did surprise me because Oscar has had a leg up on Lando. He had it all weekend. From free practice 1 to sprint qualifying to the sprint. Oscar had the upper hand, and Lando did eventually get the pole position. I think he learned quite a bit from the sprint and from the sprint qualifying on what he needed to do to improve his time. But ultimately, he did do what Lando Norris does, and he botched something, and that was the safety car start, the rolling start. It does beg the question, is the race a different story if it's not a rolling start? Likely. I'm not saying that this counts his mistake. I'm just saying we're talking about a totally different... We're going into turn 1.
Right.
Like standard, right? Standing start. Typically, at Spa, P2 is the best place to be because you get that slipstream into the first... after a Rouge. up Eau Rouge and then over Raidillon, you get that slipstream on down the main straight or that back straight, and
Right.
that typically would be an advantage for Oscar, but it was raining, and that's a different story. That's a different story. And had Lando maintained the lead into the first corner, I think we're having a different conversation. If it was a standing start, I think he would if he maintained that, we're talking about him being ahead and then him getting the first pit stop and then him probably winning the race. It's a totally different situation.
Yeah.
Totally different situation. The second thing, though, that he did mess up, and this is, again, just driver error, locked it up 3 times or 2 times, and then also went wide at one point through the middle sector, which ultimately could have cost him the 3.5 seconds that he finished behind Oscar Piastri.
Which he gained through the fucked up pit stop.
Yes.
His pit stop was horrible. Front right wasn't on. Oh no, it was front left actually. Wasn't on the car at all. It was completely wrong. And actually in the afterwards, as they were in the cool down room, they show the replay of the pit stop, and Lando was like, "Bye Oscar, bye Oscar," like obviously coming back to his Bye Lando song. It's difficult, but at the same time, I will defend the decision of having a rolling start, because the starting grids. Oh,
I'm not saying that I disagreed with it. I'm just saying if that's how the race played out, we'd probably be having a very different conversation today.
For sure. For sure.
And I think despite the leg up that Oscar had all weekend, Lando seemed to be figuring it out towards the end. And after the pole position, I think he could have had a pretty big advantage in the rain had we done a standing start.
True.
But it doesn't discount the mistakes that he made regardless of that situation.
100%. It's just the decision of making it a rolling start basically came back to the factor of the starting grid being drenched on the left side and pretty much dry on the racing line. So for every car starting on the left side of the grid, including Lando Norris actually, it would have been a massive disadvantage. They would have struggled a lot with traction. So making it a rolling start, 100% agree with that decision. But starting the race while still being on the straight, actually before the hairpin, was probably
the worst decision
he could have made. Personally, I would have waited. I mean, obviously, in the situation, you're under pressure. It's very difficult to put yourself into those shoes. But I do think I would have waited until the chicane, and I would have just been the first car to have the steering wheel straight and be able to accelerate to kind of inch out that gap. But
I think has he done that, regardless of the standing start thing, had he done that, also a different race.
Yes, but he also did have battery issues. When he was asking through Raidillon, he said, I've got pack issues. And that basically comes down to the factor of the F1 car learning about battery deployment while kind of going through the race. And if the car learns that over 3 laps you're going to be going very, very slow speed to medium speed, and the battery deployment there is going to be very, very weird and very awkward, and all of a sudden you dump it at one place, it's not going to understand where to deploy properly. Basically, that's how they explain it on TV, and that's why Lando Norris had the issues with the battery pack, because the battery was pretty much completely drained, because the car was not able to learn how to properly use it the laps before.
It is, again, another example of what makes this championship battle so interesting, is being from a team that has no number one driver and they're managing their driver relationships. It really does come down to who's ahead by the first pit stop. That makes all the difference in the world in this situation. Because if we're talking about Lando Norris battling Max Verstappen for a championship right now, we're not talking about who gets to pit first, because that's just team strategy at that point.
Right.
Different conversation entirely. And so it's exciting, but it is tricky when it gets that way, right? Because there is a massive advantage to being able to get in the pits first and do the strategy how you want to do it. Because quite frankly, these drivers are so close right now. Lando and Oscar are, when the gap is there, it's not moving very much, because they're both so skilled, and they both have one of the best constructed cars, honestly, probably ever. One of the best cars I've ever seen since I've been into Formula One. I mean, it is it is just perfect, like across the board. Like it really does not have any weaknesses, and the tire management from that thing is insane. It's got to be just a pleasure to drive. And then you put two very capable drivers in there who are both now first and second in the championship. A lot of it's just going to come down to who gets to pit first and who gets the undercut advantage.
Right.
That's really it. There's not going to be much. I think what's going to make the difference is select races as we come to the line. Qualifying is going to be a big day, but really who leads into turn one. And there's going to be some times where somebody does lead into turn one, they get to pit first. Can the other driver, when it matters, overcome that situation and to manage to gain and find time on a track that they like?
Yeah.
Those are going to be some interesting moments later in the season. I mean, we are only officially halfway through the season now. And we've got some great circuits coming up towards the rest of the year. Some that favor Oscar, some that favor Lando. We do have Hungary coming up last year, where some would argue Oscar should have won, some would argue Lando should have won. It was a bit messy time last year.
I remember that. Yep.
So I think both drivers are going to have something to prove in Hungary for sure. But regardless, pretty boring at the front. Lando could have made it more interesting had he not bottled a few times when trying to catch up. He did have some lockup issues and went wide once. So
You did remind me of something, as you were just talking about the McLaren and how well-rounded the McLaren is. Something I was not able to really wrap my head around, being that Oscar Piastri beat the lap record of Spa in the sprint qualifying. And always when it's like when it's about lap records, it's like, oh, okay, crazy. They went quicker and they went quickest overall. But the Spa lap record was set by the W11, the black Mercedes that went downhill, fast left corner, completely flat. And I can't wrap my head around that McLaren is quicker than that car. Obviously, on overall pace and something that's something different. But on a one push lap, Oscar Piastri went quicker than Lewis Hamilton in the W11. Because that thing was a rocket ship. That thing was an absolute rocket ship.
To this day, and I know that's also part of it was Lewis Hamilton being in that car and also the way that those cars were constructed. But I will never watch an onboard the way you can watch Lewis Hamilton in the W11. I mean, that was perfect machinery, perfect driver. So for him to beat that lap record in this car is something that is insane. Because I just can't. It doesn't look as quick, and I know these cars in general don't look as quick.
Yeah.
But man, that's a whole other conversation. But I'm very interested to see what the next regulations look like now. You know, like when we get towards the end of the next regulations, are we going to be having the same conversation, though? We're going to be looking at the 2026 regulations and onwards, and towards the end going, I can't believe that car beat that McLaren's lap record. You know, like we thought that car was, you know, the dominant one, and we're going to be probably having a very similar conversation with whoever gets those regulations right.
True.
Unless the cars go slower, but they are going to be smaller and lighter, so they could have that advantage.
But that's the thing. If you look at the McLaren next to the W11, the W11 is like sharp, straight line, boxy, aggressive car, and the McLaren looks like very and like a bit smiley. You know, everything's just very round, very.
That's all the kind of regulations have.
Yeah, exactly, and
don't look as cool.
Next year is gonna be tough, especially like the front wing with like the L bits on the side. Then.
True.
It's going into a bad direction, man.
I don't want to talk about it too much right now. We can maybe save this for summer break talk, but I'm also very concerned, and I don't want to go in with a bad mindset, but I don't like removing DRS for MOM. For MOM.
No.
I don't like it.
I don't like
it, but that's another conversation. Down the grid, though, we have Charles Leclerc securing P3 after defending masterclass against Max Verstappen. Was just like, I saw a funny picture talking about how Charles Leclerc was just like holding the Max Verstappen bus back from the McLaren boys. Like, even if Max wanted to get out of him, he couldn't because Charles Leclerc was just like a wall.
Yeah.
So, stellar performance from him. A performance Ferrari did need, while his teammate gained, 11 places
Hamilton was flying.
I think during the course of the race.
He was flying.
After a tricky qualifying result for everybody besides Gabriel Bortoleto, who, got into Q2 because of Hamilton's lap disqualification. And, of course, the lap deletion was his fault. You can talk about it. Did it make a difference in the lap time? Probably not. Because the way he went off, you don't gain much time doing that. It's just, but that is the rules, and you have to apply the rules. And I saw some people upset. Some Lewis fans were out there going, "I want a good camera angle of this. I can't see it." It's like the FIA has hundreds of cameras on every turn, tens of cameras on every turn, and they 100% saw it. Even if we didn't get treated to the angle that they saw, but they 100% saw it. He was totally off. Stupid mistake. But I'm happy for Ferrari and Hamilton to get the result that they did this weekend in the actual main race, because I think they needed that, because after that qualifying result, Hamilton was not happy. And not that he has been, but it's just continuously getting worse. So hopefully, kind of the fun of making your way through the field did something for his joy in motorsport again. Seeing Hamilton qualify P16 at Spa just doesn't feel right.
It's wrong. It's wrong. But it did remind me of someone. Remind me of Daniel Ricciardo. Just with the difference that the race went well. But just the interviews with Lewis and just generally how he's been behaving lately, just him being sad and pretty much broken about the car, reminded me a lot of the Ricciardo downfall. And it's really tough to see. It's really, really rough to see. So I'm so glad that Hamilton had a great race. It was really entertaining to see, because he was just, you could tell he had the experience.
Part of the race.
He cut through that pack. It was incredible, absolutely incredible. But yeah, in his down phases, he does remind me a lot of Daniel Ricciardo.
Have you seen Cars?
I have seen Cars.
Have you seen Cars 3?
I think so. It's not the one where he's like a superhero, like a super spy.
No, that's Cars 2.
That's Cars 2, right? Cars 3 is his downfall, right? Against that e-car.
And I always think about the e-cars. And Lewis Hamilton does feel like Lightning McQueen right now. The greatest driver of all time. McQueen is fading. Unbelievable. McQueen is fading. That's how it feels when I'm seeing Lewis Hamilton P16 at Spa. It's been a rough year.
You should be a Lawson fan. Lawson loves cars.
I like Lawson. I'm not a Lawson hater. And
you sure?
I follow him on TikTok. I think he's funny.
Damn, you follow him on TikTok.
Like when he went to Disneyland, I remember, and he took a picture with Lightning McQueen, and he was like, "This is the biggest moment of my life." I think that was real as fuck, because as a kid, when I went to Disneyland and I got to go to Cars Land, that was like a big moment in my life.
I have a picture of me in a Lightning McQueen car from Disneyland as a kid, so I can relate.
The thing is they didn't have the Cars animatronics that Liam got to see, and that is
True.
I am jealous of that.
Me
I
too.
am jealous of that, because they didn't have those before, and now they do. They have the ones that actually kind of move around and shit. I need to take a picture with Lightning McQueen, and it might be like my profile picture on Instagram in the future. Whenever I get to go to Disneyland, I don't know when I would go to Disneyland, but that's the dream. Right. Anywho, Lewis Hamilton reminds me of Lightning McQueen in Cars 3.
Gotcha.
Just tidbit. His replacement, though, at Mercedes, Kimi Antonelli, has had a rough stint of races since Monaco.
Oh, true. Very true.
It feels like he's had a confidence hit. A lot of people have been kind of looking at Toto Wolff now going, did you bring him in too quickly? Was he doing this? Was he too eager to get the Lewis Hamilton replacement for his ego, and he moved him up too quickly? I don't know, but I also think you don't move a guy up too quickly if he's also getting a podium in his rookie year. He does have a podium. He has had a good start. He did have a good start to the season prior to the Monaco stint. He just needs to. I think he needs to find some more comfortability in the car again. it sucks because I want him to do well so bad. Like, I love Kimi. I think he's great. But obviously he came back after qualifying in Belgium and was getting interviewed and was like, looked like he was crying, like it's
True,
it's
fair.
definitely getting to him a little bit.
Yeah.
So I'm hoping he can turn it around, but we obviously, he started far back and only finished P16 in the end. I know there was it was a weird race, some weird strategy stuff going on, but definitely unfortunate.
To be fair, though,
I want him to succeed.
I agree. He did drive the fastest lap of the race. So
True, but that was also because of tires and stuff. But.
For sure. He took a hit in qualifying. That's for sure. The crash didn't help him at all. And after that, no, that was sprint qualifying, wasn't it? He crashed in sprint qualifying.
The crash was in sprint qualifying. He just didn't
yeah.
qualify well during the actual qualifying.
And he lost his confidence. He said he said himself he lost confidence. And then he couldn't really recover it into qualifying at all.
Yeah.
So but he did drive the fastest lap. So yeah, we'll see.
There's that. There's going to be a big Rookie of the Year competition. Usually we kind of know who's getting it. It could be him. He's got his podium. It could be Oliver Behrman, who I think. But now we're seeing Gabriel Bortoleto come out of nowhere. And
Gabby's been cooking.
All of a sudden, Gabby's been cooking. He's been looking like a stud. And, it's awesome to see because I really like Gabby. I know I mentioned it briefly earlier, but when Lewis Hamilton got his lap time deleted, they come on the radio. He goes, "Oh, fuck yeah." Because he was able to obviously get into Q2 because of that. And it's funny, I was thinking about it. I was like, if Gabby gets into Q3 and scores points this weekend, that's going to be a big, butterfly effect. And look what he got into Q3. What he did with the opportunity was got into Q3, and that's awesome.
Yeah.
Yeah, he's been cooking. And I do think the kick Sauber has gotten better as the year's gone on. They've had some strangely uncharacteristic development this year.
True. True.
But you know what? They're scoring points. Nico Hülkenberg got a podium. So really, what are you gonna say? Their car's looking better. Gabby's performing. Nico Hülkenberg's performing. They're sitting at 6th in the championship right now.
That's crazy. That's crazy because the kick Sauber is always
ahead of the Racing Bulls, ahead of Aston, ahead of Haas, and ahead of Alpine.
We might have some apologizing to do because I do remember us saying at the beginning of the year that the kick looks bad, but it doesn't matter because you won't see it. You'll see it at the start, and then you won't see it again. And now Hülkenberg's kind of got a podium. Gabby's been performing.
I know. I really do wish sometimes that Hülkenberg's first podium didn't come in the green. I wish it came in the Audi or something.
Yeah.
Like it's just like there's no aura in that suit. There's no aura on that car. It's like I can't, I hate when I tell people to get into Formula One and they go, they start asking about the teams, and I gotta tell them that the Kick streaming service actually has a team.
Yeah, that's rough.
I like when I feel like Formula One has this aesthetic to it, right? It's very upper class, very wealthy, very business-esque, and we've just got Kick, the streaming service that Aiden Ross streams on or whatever, all those people that you see on Twitter all the time. That's a team. So I'm really looking forward to that being replaced by Audi. But on that note, though, we're seeing Kick, a team who we weren't really expecting much from prior to Audi's arrival, already kind of having it turn around. And so it does make me wonder, if they've got some good people in that factory that are putting things together right now, and you take them and you add that along with the Audi financial backing and their own engine.
Right.
It's going to be interesting to see how their engine goes, because I know it's obviously going to be a learning curve. There's always the learning curve in Formula One is massive.
Right.
And to develop your first engine in your first season is going to be, I think, a little bit of a hindrance. I think we're going to see them progress, but I don't think they're going to come out the gate and be very successful.
Right.
And I don't want people to be dramatic and be like, oh, why did Audi even join if they're going to finish outside of the points? It's you got to give them time. All these constructors have been developing or buying off, people who have been developing their engines for years. And we're going to see a similar thing with Cadillac. Cadillac, I do think, could come in and make a bigger impact right away.
Okay.
But they're going to eventually start making their own engine in 2 years' time. And then I think they're going to go back down a little bit because that's just typically, unless they happen to get it right, there is something to that. But regardless, I think they're going into an exciting era in the Sauber team. Gabriel Bortoleto, you have Nico Hulkenberg to mentor him with some more financial backing coming in at what's going to be Audi. I mean, it's exciting.
True.
So props to Gabby. Liam Lawson's been turning it around as well, P8. He's had stellar. And had the race not started the way it did, Yuki did have a pretty good weekend. His pace looked strong when they gave him the upgrades to the Red Bull. And something I thought was interesting, I don't know if you saw this, but Laurent Mekies, he made a comment saying that he wasn't going to start qualifying without giving Yuki the upgrades. And they had to take from Max Verstappen's stockpile, which really makes me wonder how long has Christian Horner been holding upgrades for the teammate because it's supposed to be in Max Verstappen's stockpile.
Yeah,
because that floor gave Yuki almost a 2 to 3 tenths advantage once he added it after the sprint.
True. It's like, I presume, I don't think Horner was the type of guy to not give Yuki the floor because he didn't want Yuki to perform. But I think it's, you got to make sure Max is stocked up because he's Max Verstappen. But that, just in case he crashes,
comes in there.
Just in case he crashes. So it's a pretty crazy call to give Yuki the floor. But I presume the second Max would have had a crash, and they would have had to fix the car for the race, Yuki would have changed out the floor again. But to be fair, also having a crash in qualifying is very, very rare. So for him to make that call, that's a really, really, really good idea.
I like it. I think this is a chance with the new team principal. Obviously, I don't think Yuki's race went how he expected it to, but we did see a bit better when he got the upgrades in qualifying. I mean, it really was, outside of Albon, it was the McLarens, the Ferraris, a Mercedes, and the 2 Red Bulls in the top, besides Albon being the outlier up there. And that's how it should be. So to see Yuki at least up there in that crowd felt right. If he can, this is an opportunity with a new team principal. I know obviously Helmut Marko has a lot to say as well, but this is an opportunity with a new team principal, new management, for Yuki to really get a fresh start for the second half of the year and prove that he deserves to keep that seat. And hopefully they continue to give him the upgrades. Obviously not before Max or not, whatever, but when they have them readily available, to give them to Yuki and give him a fair shot to prove himself, especially when you're in a position where you do need to figure out who's going to be your driver for next year. And as much as I think you really should see how Yuki does in the 2026 regulations when the car isn't so maybe difficult to drive and they kind of revamp it. But I think the culture at Red Bull could shift with the Christian Horner departure, and I have faith that they can get things together towards the end of the year for both drivers, and just of like a good tone shift would be nice. When Lawson qualified well in the sprint race, Lauren Mekies was out there giving him a hug. I like that vibe.
I did see
Christian Horner gives you a handshake and says good job. Meanwhile, Laurent Mekies really seems like he's I get a good vibe. So I'm hoping that continues.
I do have to say something though. Before, because I did want to say something to Kick Sauber. You know who I'm really happy for with the success of Kick Sauber? Mattia Binotto.
Oh, true. He's the team principal.
He's a team principal, and Mattia was Ferrari's team principal when they went through the absolute mud. The Ferrari meme of the clowns sitting as the race engineers was during Mattia Binotto's time, and he had a rough stint with Ferrari. And Fred has kind of stood his ground. Fred is really, 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 really good team principal, and Mattia he didn't do the greatest of jobs at Ferrari, but now at Kick Sauber, he's working magic. That car was turned around, and I was kind of skeptical at the beginning. I was worried Audi took the wrong decision here to hire Mattia Binotto, but to be honest, he's doing a great job. He's turned that car around. They're now pretty much consistently now scoring points in the Kick Sauber. They're getting the experience Audi needs for next year. they're in the exact right direction, and I'm really really happy for the guy, because I feel like in Ferrari Red he had no chance. He had no chance,
True.
and it really just shows how Ferrari is a very very broken ship, which just a ton of people don't like to fix apparently. So yeah,
I've said
I'm
it
happy for
before, I
him.
think recently, whether it was last episode or maybe a couple episodes ago, but I think there's an issue in Ferrari above the team principal at this point. There's more to it than the team principal
For sure,
conversation.
for sure, for sure.
There's something else up there, whether it's back at the factory, wherever, that needs to be changed. Instead of just flipping team principles like it's going to change your entire culture and identity. So I hope they don't fire Fred Vasseur unnecessarily as well, and
True.
treat them, just keep thinking that somebody's going to fix the ship. You can only pay Lewis Hamilton and Charles Leclerc so much money if there's a problem above that.
Yeah.
But successful weekend for them regardless. Pierre Gasly scored points this weekend.
1 point, right? He got P10, didn't he?
Yeah, he got P10.
Yeah.
Good for him. It's that Alpine is just. I am a very big proponent of. I think the more engine manufacturers, the better.
Oh yeah,
but I
true.
do think that Renault engine, they've tried it for so long, and it's just not working. So I'm excited to see what they can do when they're not, because that car is just a shit box. It's a shit box through and through.
Yeah, that's true. That's true.
So, yeah,
that's true.
Kudos to Pierre Gasly. He's pulling that thing across the line on every given weekend. I don't know if you saw this though. On the other side of the garage, Franco Colapinto was pre-qualifying. What's his name? Oh my God, the commentator. You know what I'm talking about?
Martin Brando?
No, it wasn't. No, Crofty.
Oh, sorry.
Had a comment on the thing where he goes, and Franco Colapinto is trying to save his season. Or save his weekend. That's what he said. His weekend. He corrected it to weekend, like he was trying to say weekend, but kind of was. He's trying to save his career weekend. Here in qualifying.
Gotta love it. Gotta love it.
Yeah. Franco Colapinto has looked no better, if not worse, than Jack Doohan. So that move just still doesn't make a ton of sense to me. But
he's got points, no? Didn't he score points?
No.
He has not scored points so far. Jesus.
Nope.
Oh.
Bottom two are Franco Colapinto and Jack Doohan.
Has he been?
It's a rough time.
Oh my.
And I know that car is not great, but I do think it just still doesn't make sense to me to bring in a driver from your academy and then replace him 6 races into the season.
Oh, for sure. I agree.
And then especially if he's going to come, the replacement driver is going to come and perform the way he's been performing. I'm not a Franco Colapinto hater, and Argentinians, please don't come for us. But this has just been a disappointing season for Franco Colapinto, to say the very least.
True. I think I've got him in wrong memory because he has finished further up the road. He has outperformed Gasly, for example, in Canada, but Colapinto is just very much. He came into that Williams and performed pretty much straight away with Albon the year before. So I feel like when I think of Colapinto, it kind of makes you forget that he hasn't been performing too well, which is obviously unfair considering what happened with Doohan. But yeah, I know what you mean. I don't think they're gonna swap around again. I think this is the choice right now, and yeah, if I would have been the team principal, if I could have decided between Doohan and Colapinto, I would have gone with Colapinto from the get-go. But yeah, I'm not him.
It feels like it's fucked up to start somebody's career and then pull them out 6 races in, Nick DeVries style or Jack Doohan style. So as it goes, I suppose. What else is there to talk about? Haas probably should have had a better weekend than they did. Some poor management and just because both the drivers of the car felt good.
Yeah.
And they looked quick at moments in qualifying in the sprint. They probably should have scored points, so both of them finishing outside the points was definitely a bit of a failure. Carlos Sainz, another rough weekend for Carlos Sainz. We were talking about team principals earlier. One of my favorite is James Vowles. I think
I love
he has
him.
done such a stellar job at Williams, and I love the culture he's brought over to the Williams team, and I think their identity is really, you know, the whole culture over there has just shifted since he's taken over.
For sure.
And they've been making progress, and I cannot wait to see what they do in the new regulations. I really have my fingers crossed that I think they can. I have a gut feeling they're going to come out in 2026, and we're going to be like, whoa, that Williams is quick. You know, I would love to see that.
I hope so.
I hope it's one of those stories where like they get it right, you know, and they just happen to get it right by whatever merit or coincidence it is.
Yeah.
That's what I would love to see. So outside of that, though, Carlos Sainz has just been having a rough time getting used to the car. Alex Albon has been performing far better. I do think, again, some of that is Alex Albon's been able to feed in his, you know, he's been the driver there. That's his team at this point.
Sure.
And so while you bring on Sainz as this big signing to, you know, help your already successful driver, that car really was Albon's car prior to Sainz's arrival.
For sure.
And so I think he's having a bit of a hard time getting used to it. I'm going to kind of ignore that throughout the season and just really I want to see what happens in 2026 and if Sainz continues to struggle or if he's successful. Because we know Sainz is a good driver. He's had plenty of success with McLaren and Ferrari. And so I don't think that's going to be a trend that continues into next year, hopefully. But I know it's got to be frustrating to go from consistently fighting for podiums to fighting for P18 this weekend. So I know that's got to be not the best time of your life. But yeah, we didn't make any predictions this week because
we haven't done any predictions the past 2 weeks because life has been extremely busy. I hope is Hungary next week?
That's what I was actually going to ask. I think. Wait.
Let's ask production team. We haven't done that joke in a while.
Production team. Yeah, I know it's been retired because I've been on my shit. I've been actually knowing what I'm talking about now. We've changed the pace. Yes, Hungary is this weekend. We should be able to get a prediction. Maybe. Yeah. I mean, my week is a little busy this week because of what is happening next week.
What's happening next week?
For the two people out there that care. Something big coming soon.
Damn.
But we'll talk about Hungary a little bit. Our Hungary review actually might be in a change of scenery.
Ooh. Now if they do connect the dots, and if they do connect the dots, they might understand what's coming. Oof.
All right, we're back. Technical difficulties, and speaking difficulties. You know, you think English is my first language the way I talk on this episode on this podcast. Anywho, we're gonna end this episode here. We should be at you with a preview, hopefully some predictions. But if you want to see the predictions and you don't want to watch the whole episode, you can follow us on Instagram, TikTok, and YouTube, and see our YouTube shorts, our TikToks, and our Instagram reels, where we'll briefly summarize the outcome of our predictions right after the race has happened. Stay tuned. Big things coming soon over here at the Pitlane Pals Formula One podcast. As I said before, follow us on all the places you can find us on any streaming platform or any social media besides like Twitter. Really,
we almost at 100.
Twitter. We're almost at 100 subscribers. That's true. We're almost there.
Crazy stuff.
So if you want to help get us there, subscribe. It'd be dearly, dearly appreciated. Anywho, thank you all for watching this episode, and we will catch you for Hungary this weekend. Goodbye. Yeah, well, my computer was fine. It was my phone because you were like, I couldn't know what you were saying. You were just kind of going, e, and I'm like, fuck.
Ting tang, walla bing bang. Ting tang, walla bing bang.
Walla bing bang. Anywho, keep that in the episode. Anywho, okay.